Good evening. My name is Mark Abbey. I'm chair of the Montalvo Community Council, District 6. Thank you for joining us in person and online. We are having a board election tonight towards the end of our meeting for chair, treasurer, and member at large. This meeting is not a hybrid meeting, but it is being broadcast live on YouTube and to our montalvocc.wordpress.com website. So let me go over our agenda for tonight. This is for Tuesday, November 14th, 2023, our public meeting running from roughly 6:30 to 8:15 tonight. Our meeting at Lighthouse Community Church at 6200 Montalvo Drive in Ventura. So our agenda for tonight, 6:30 is the opening. 6:35 for 10 minutes, we'll have Commander Matt Kane from Ventura PD. He'll give us a report. At 6:45, Lisa?
I don't know if Calvin Peterson is going to make it.
Okay, we have on our agenda for 6:45 Calvin Peterson for District 6 School Board Trustee. Actually, it's a different district number for school board. Not sure if he'll be able to make it tonight, but he's on. We have for 6:55 Christy Weir speaking, and Barbara Brown speaking on behalf of the Ventura Tree Alliance. Have we heard from our council member?
Yeah, he said he's on as well.
Okay, council member Jim Duran will be here at 7:15. At 7:30, we have a presentation from several cannabis businesses, presentations that are located inside of District 6. And there'll either be 2 or 3 businesses. Lisa, do you know if there's 3? 2. Okay. At 8 o'clock or earlier, we'll have the board elections for chair, treasurer, and member at large. The MCC board, I'll just mention it now. The MCC board for the election recommends the following candidates for the open positions. The board serves as their own nominating committee since we're a small organization. For chair, the nomination will be for Lisa Gassaway. For treasurer, Betsy Holt. And for member at large, Mark Abbey. Did we have any questions before we get started? Yes, sir.
Voting members? How are...
Yes, Cassie is in the back. Cassie, raise your hand. She's gone around, if you are a resident of District 6, she's gone around and asked you if you want a ballot so that you can vote later on. And so if anyone else comes in, she'll be trying to talk to them and get them ballots so they're able to vote. All right, well, let's go ahead. Coming up, Commander Matt Kane from Ventura Police Department. Give us your report.
So I'm Matt Kane. Hello. I've been with your district now for quite a while. I will cover some crime stuff, but the bigger thing in 10 minutes is just to get to know that a couple years ago, the chief divided up the city into districts, and he assigned a commander per district, and so you have direct access to me as far as questions, what's going on, whatever. So I probably won't be able to answer, all of your questions tonight, or maybe I can if there's not a bunch. But I am always available by emails. Best time. Lisa and I chat all the time on email. I'll get right back to you. So to get into crime reporting, I'll kind of preface this with, as you're looking at that, it looks like kind of a lot of dots on a map, and there was a lot of crime. But what we did about 6 months ago now is we went from the uniform crime reporting, the UCRs, which were about 9, and they were the highest priority for the FBI, and now we're using the NIBRS system, so it's a national crime reporting. So if you have a residential burglary per se, and there's 4 or 5 incidents that happened during that burglary, you have a vandalism, you have a separate theft, it all gets reported. So that's what drives those numbers up. So to go backwards a little bit from 819 to 915, your totals were 119. 916 to 1013, they were 116, and then in this crime reporting period, there's 85. So a little bit of the good news is they have come down. But I will share with you, when you kind of work through your assaults. So again, we used to just categorize the major assaults that were felonies. Now you have any misdemeanor battery, all of your domestics, everything is included in there. So what we look for are patterns with the stuff that we can kind of maybe help prevent. The assaults, we really don't have a whole lot of control over that when someone's going to assault another person. Like I said, there were 17. The burglaries and breaking and entering, so there was really only one actual burglary. The other were unlocked instances. And then you kind of work down vandalisms. Again, can't really control that. At the same time, they did drop down in this period to 7. And then you get to the biggie here, which is your drug and narcotic related offenses. So what that is that's actually the police, us, going out and making arrests for those things, and then it gets reported. So it's not particularly it's a victimless crime, let's say. It's not someone going out and committing a crime. It's us going out and making an arrest. And quite honestly, I also supervise our patrol task force, which I have 8 officers and a sergeant, and we deal with, it's basically vagrant issues in the city. How we solve some of the vagrancy issues is with certain case law and stuff that doesn't allow us to, maybe take care of camping or that kind of stuff. We make narcotic-related arrests. So when you see that number, it's not always a bad thing. I mean, we're going out there and we're making proactive efforts to try and combat, vagrancy and some of those issues. So again, the issue with that is then you take that number and you add, so whatever the total is, you add 21 to it. So that's your highest. The next is going to be larceny and theft, which again, now we're categorizing anything that's also misdemeanor theft. The motor vehicle, we had 4 in our district, and so I'll dive into that a little bit. So it's always concerning. I look for patterns, like are cars getting stolen from the same locations. So the first one was on telephone, and it looks like they valued their car at $1,000, and someone got in there and took it. The other one's the auto center, which is pretty common. A lot of those things, the keys get left in boxes and stuff, so they get taken. And the other one was an actual residence that got taken in front of. And then the last one was actually a rent-a-car place that didn't get returned. So again, not great news that there was 4, but no pattern and nothing too alarming with that. And one of these 2, the keys were left in the vehicle. So again, it's thoughts on a map. It's a lot to look at. We do have a big district. I will say though that I report to the downtown district as well, and we're busy down there as well. I mean, the numbers aren't, sometimes they go down a little bit, but they do fluctuate. And the same thing, I used to come and report in the 70s and 80s, and now I'm in the hundreds as well there because of the the fact that we're reporting everything. So, and actually when we had UCRs the other way around, the numbers were actually sometimes even in the teens, and now we're seeing them in the hundreds because, again, everything is getting documented. So to leave a little bit of time for questions for me. Hi, Jim. Anything that I can help you with? Like I said, I'm always available to. Yes, sir.
Are traffic violations considered a Group A crime?
No, That's one thing. Good question. Infractions are what is traffic related, and those are not counted in the NIBRs. Thank you. Yeah, interesting how narcotic arrests are there, but other things aren't. And we don't have control over what's tracked and not. But thanks.
I read an article in the paper that Santa Paula Police Department is losing a bunch of its officers to the sheriffs. Have we had any attrition at the VPD?
No, we're at our numbers. We have 5 in the academy right now, and that'll still put us a couple under. But we're looking really good with our numbers, which across the county they can't report the same thing. I know Oxnard's really down officers, but once we get these 5 out and through the academy, we'll still be a couple down, and we're always taking in laterals too. So we're good. Yes, sir.
I don't see any around Motel 6, which I thought there would be.
Yeah, I saw that too. There wasn't a whole lot of grouping there. Yeah, a good observation. I thought the same thing. Yes, sir.
Were there any shootings or assault batteries?
No, I didn't. None here, and they would be it'd be on here. So no, so that's good. Yeah.
Hey, maybe last time, the time before, you mentioned there's like a ton of catalytic converters
Yeah.
going on, and like people selling on cars. Is that still a thing?
So yeah, that's a trend that I reported on for probably over a year, about 18 months ago, and you have none. Yeah, and I did have downtown last month when I went down there. They had about 3, and they were, I believe, the Prius for some reason was pretty sought after, but no, you had 0.
Okay, thanks.
So, again, thank you for your time. They said Lisa has my email. It's in the notes. Please reach out to me. Like I said, with your councilman, me and him are in communication all the time too. Anything I can do for you, more than happy. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
As usual, it's one of the benefits of having a community council is that we get to hear from the PD and we get to hear from various departments from the city. And in a little bit, we'll get to hear from our council member, Jim Duran, who's with us tonight. And we're appreciative of that. Let's see. Calvin Peterson's not here, right? Okay, we'll probably schedule him for a future meeting. What's difficult is that the school board meets on Tuesday nights, and the school board trustee for Ventura Unified is Calvin Peterson. We met him at our last board meeting earlier this month, but unfortunately he was not able to make it tonight. He had a conflict. So we're going to move to our 6:55 item. We're lucky to have the Ventura Tree Alliance with 2 representatives, former City Council member and Mayor Christy Weir and Barbara Brown. So come on up and let's hear what's going on with trees.
We're going to share this presentation tonight. We have a PowerPoint. So my name is Christy Weir, and this is Barbara Brown. We are co-founders of the Ventura Tree Alliance. In 2021, we decided we needed to help the city plant more trees because the city was challenged with putting enough trees in. Next. So our goal is community action committed to celebrating, protecting, and enhancing Ventura's tree canopy.
Next. So the way the Ventura Tree Alliance started was Christy and I were both campaigning, and every time we would run into each other, for some reason we would talk about the empty tree wells in the city of Ventura. And eventually we learned that there were approximately 12,000 empty tree wells here. So 12,000 empty tree wells and about 30,000 trees that the city takes care of and maintains. So initially our goal was to plant those trees in those empty tree wells. What we found was without the trees in there, that ground was impermeable. So we not only were losing the beauty of the shade trees coming over a street, we were losing habitat, but all the water that would hit a normal tree and stay in Ventura and feed our groundwater now is being sent down to the ocean. So our goal was to plant trees in our city, and so again, water is always an issue. This is one of the things that the city does, is they use gator bags. So gator bags are basically fairly large bags that you fill up with water, and then the water seeps out slowly to feed the tree over a long period of time. So most trees that are planted need a lot of care and attention the first 2 years. Now, when we were in the big drought, where I think it was, 10 years where we just didn't have enough water, and we had the bark beetle, we lost a lot of trees then. Because people didn't really realize, that we were going to start losing the large trees. So the other cool thing that the city offers is recycled water. There's a recycled water program. So if you want, you can go get recycled water from the city of Ventura. And they have a fill station. This is a picture of Jim Ackerman. And he's got a 195 gallon water tank that he fills up and waters his yard, and actually a lot of other places. So you can do that too. All you have to do is get a permit.
As you've probably seen in several areas of town, parking lots are one of the best locations for urban forestry because you have vast expanses of asphalt, no buildings, which means there's lots of room for trees. And it's especially important in an asphalt area that we plant trees because water runs off, like we've talked about. Anytime you have a surface of concrete or asphalt, the water just runs off into the ocean and doesn't do our groundwater any good at all. And plus, it is an urban heat island effect because asphalt gets really hot from the sun and then goes back up and makes the temperature of the surrounding area hotter. So when you have trees in a parking lot, not only are your cars cooler, but the whole area is cooler because you're shading that asphalt. And the rain that comes down will filter through the trees into the ground. So as you see on the left, go back, sorry. As you see on the left, that's Winco. It's bad. They didn't landscape very well there. And the other one on the right is the downtown parking lot. Those are Australian willows in the background there. And what the city is doing now better is putting trees in the public parking lots. However, we have a lot of private parking lots, like, the strip malls, the Vons, all those. And what the city needs to do better at is enforcing our rules. We do have rules for landscaping parking lots, but the city does not really take good care of making sure that's enforced. And please let us know if you see parking lots that need trees. If it's a city lot, we can do something about that. If it's a private lot, we can encourage the owners to do that. Next. So in 2021, we started a campaign to plant oak trees. Oak trees are native. Coast live oaks are particularly native along the coast, and then valley oaks are native toward Ojai. And this was one of our planting projects. We purchased and planted these trees behind the museum. If you go on Santa Clara Street downtown in the back of the museum, it was just an empty dirt lot. And now there are 3 beautiful oak trees there.
So, again, along the lines of oaks, Chicago actually came up with the idea of planting oak trees in October, and they called it Oak plus October, Oaktober. And that was brought to Ventura County by Dr. David White. And so we've been participating in October since 2021, and the first part of that project was to plant 20 trees in what a lot of locals call Kimball Park, but the official name is Ventura Community Park. And so this was a picture of that day and all the tremendous volunteers that helped. We fundraised for those 20 trees. It was a lot of fun. Next. And then, so partnership is a huge part of what we do. In any place that we plant trees on public property, which is city property, we partner with the City of Ventura's urban forestry team. This was an area on Emma and Main Street where we planted 5 strawberry trees with Midtown Community Council. So that was a whole lot of fun. Next. And then, very exciting, we won the California Urban Forestry Award in 2022 and were invited to Palm Springs to receive that award. And Christy's going to talk about the project that garnered that award.
Great. Next. Oh, first, you're going to do that one.
I'll do this one. Okay, so this is super fun. So remember in the 60s when people chained themselves to trees? Okay, so this is San Clemente. Does everybody know where San Clemente is? So it was a beautiful tree-lined street, super picturesque with these ficus trees. And the city was concerned of liability. So they began to take down, well, liability, and I have heard there's a couple of more disease, so they began to take them down. These are much-loved trees, and the neighborhood identifies with these trees. And so they, Chipper Bell chained himself to a tree because they were going to take down the tree in front of his house, and he didn't want that to happen. I will share with you, I've done a lot of research on how you can get hurt by a tree or how many people get hurt by a tree. It's very rare. So it's about as rare as a lightning strike, which is very rare. And usually the people that get hurt by trees are people that are working on them. So people that are trimming the trees, taking the trees down. It's a very dangerous job.
So, for Arbor Day, our 2 big tree planting times of the year, Arbor Day, which is April, and October. Now, this Arbor Day, which was in 2022, the city, in partnership with some other organizations, was able to get a huge grant and helped pay for, we helped as well, 65 trees on the bike path that goes along the 33 freeway that goes from Ventura out to past Westview and past the schools out there. And it's been fairly barren. And you see a lot of like chain link, there's the freeway, and then there's the chain link fence, and then there's the bike path. And so we were able in one day to plant 65 trees, and they are now amazingly healthy. We had about 100 volunteers come out, and we were able to plant all those trees, get it all done in like 2 hours. And the trees had, as you can see, they had gator bags, and they have survived. If you take a walk or a bike ride out there, you will see a lot of shade now, and those trees have grown amazing. And they're starting to need to be trimmed because they're like, shading the bike path. So that's very much of a success story. Next. On Earth Day, that same year, we were able to help a neighborhood downtown. This is the neighborhood on Santa Clara. It's a condo association near Patagonia. And they had catalpa trees that as street trees, but there were about 6 empty tree wells there, and they had for years wanted to get those tree wells planted so they would have a nice row of trees along Santa Clara. So the Tree Alliance was able to purchase them 5 new street trees and get them planted with the city crew, and now so they have a nice matching row of trees there. Next.
So this was another really, really nice surprise. The Ventura County Board of Supervisors awarded us with the Project of the Year, the Environmental Award of the Year in 2022, and it was presented by Supervisor Matt Levere. Next. Oh, and so in continuation, so we planted 20 trees at Kimball or Community Park, and then we planted 20 more in October of 2022. So these are all the volunteers. I did want to make a note on the slide that Christy just showed. The person that was the most forward, that was our district attorney, Eric Nazarenko. So we get all kinds of people to come out and help. Next. So we planted 20. We planted the next 20. This year, with all the rain, those trees have grown anywhere from 2 feet to 4 feet, and we had one that was so big it bent over, I think it must have been 20 feet tall. So it bent over and we had to restake, we didn't, the city restaked it and, and then note to the right, those little acorns, it's already producing acorns. Next.
So, in your neighborhood, well, I guess Community Park's in your neighborhood too, technically. Yeah. So, Branca Vista, what we try and do every year for Arbor Day is a big tree planting project. This particular one was near and dear to my heart because I spent a lot of time at Branca Vista when my kids were little, going out to that building right there for gymnastics and whatever, and then those little like story time in the park and all that. And when they tore down the arbor there that was like termite eaten or whatever was happening there, the city was considering putting up a $700,000 public art piece for shade. And the council said, no, we don't need $700,000 spent on shade. Let's plant some trees. The trees didn't ever get planted. So the Tree Alliance decided that was a great spot. So we purchased 15 trees and had about, I think, at least 30 volunteers come help plant those trees. So now when you go to Branca Vista, I just went there the other day and all the trees look fantastic. There's some oaks, there's some, oh dang, what is that one? Crepe myrtle. There's like, and then there's a couple pines, and they're all over. They're spread all over Branca Vista. So there's going to be some very nice shade there and bird habitat, and it looks much better. Next. And this was the flyer for this year's October planting. Our goal at Community Park was to get shade along the whole perimeter of the bike path. The part of the bike path that's on the west, that's near the Branca, had these really nice benches, but there was no shade. And so like the whole entire path was not shaded at all. And there were, I think, 5 benches that were as hot as could be. They're metal. And so we thought, well, let's just plant our goal is a total of 60 trees along that path to provide shade, and we kind of put a lot around the benches. So this is the poster for this year. Next. And those are some of all volunteers. We did our final 20 trees, and so we made it all the way along the west side and then around by the freeway. We planted a ton of trees this year as a buffer between the 126 freeway and the park, so to help with noise and then the view. Next. And there is part of our tree team and our lovely little sign there. Next. And the latest thing that happened, which fortunately the city council decided, thank you, Jim, the Kimball Park got a new parking lot, as you know, to the south of the pool. And the city council insisted at the time that was happening that it be landscaped. And because you have to have shade in a parking lot. So a bunch of trees were planted in that parking lot. The Public Works Department is going to put up solar panels out there to help provide electricity for the pool. And they were considering putting the solar panels in that lot, which meant they would have to chop down all the new trees. And so fortunately, the council said no. We'll put the solar panels in a place there are no trees, and we will keep these trees, and they will grow and be beautiful. Those are oaks as well. And it's going to be gorgeous once they're fully grown. And so we will continue to do projects in October, planting oak trees in places that need them, and then Arbor Day, other projects. So I would love to hear from you all. I mean, not tonight necessarily, but at some point, if you have ideas for locations, we're looking for community partnerships. We did the community park one in collaboration with the East Ventura Community Council. And we've done a project with the Midtown Community Council. And good news, almost forgot. Your Safe Routes to School project that took forever over here, but finally got done and it's beautiful. There were 41 new trees planted with that project, which is great because you don't want just pavement, right? You want the shade and the trees. And then the Bristol project, which is going to be repaved, the Bristol, and they're cutting down, the last I heard was they're going to cut down 8 trees that are, we're not in favor of cutting down trees, but if they're dying and they're dangerous, then you have to. So, and I think they were uplifting the sidewalk too. So they're going to cut down 8 trees, but the plan is to replace them with 16 new trees. So we'll get more.
That was Bristol east of Johnson.
Bristol east of Johnson. Yes, going that way.
Maybe not west, there's a few trees that are marked,
West of Johnson?
also.
I don't know about those, but that could be part of it, because the whole thing's getting repaved, and then they're going to redo the sidewalks to make sure that they're not being uplifted. But the last word I got, which was last week, was that 8 are coming down, 16 are be replaced, and they won't be the same kind. They've picked a different kind of tree that will be big and provide shade, but not quite so, prone to lose branches. So, next.
So we actually want to just reach out and invite you to become part of our tree team. There's a number of ways you can do it. Obviously, we're a nonprofit, so donations are always huge. It takes about $200, a little over $200 to put a tree in the ground. But any donation at all is much appreciated, and you can donate on our website, venturatreealliance.com, or you can volunteer. That's a lot of fun. There's nothing better than doing something good with your neighbors. And then thirdly, Christy just talked about the 14 trees. I felt pretty confident that if we had not been there, those 14 trees would be gone. Wouldn't you think so? Yeah. So speak up. If you see a tree that's in trouble, water it. If you're concerned about a tree that you love and it's going to be taken down, speak up, and we are happy to support you if you want to talk to us. The phone number is right there, and you can find out about our events on our Facebook page, Ventura Tree Alliance. So we'll hopefully see you. Go ahead.
The blue on the green is hard to read, so I was wondering.
Oh, yeah, it's, venturatreealliance.com. Easy peasy. Any other questions?
Did the guy that chained himself to the tree save his ficus?
Yes, he did. So actually, yeah, he did. What I was going to talk to you about, so I drove down that street today. So the big thing is the city was concerned about liability from the tree branches falling. And while it's rare, any public entity wants to avoid litigation. So what they're doing now, which is a great solution, is they're pollarding the trees. And pollarding means, I know you've all seen it, it's annoying looking, but it does save the trees. They cut the limbs. So instead of a limb like being a huge umbrella and spreading, which is the tree shape we all love, they cut the limbs about here, and then the foliage grows at the end. So it still has the ability to provide shade, mitigate CO2. It's not great habitat, but in a year or two it will be, and it's much better than a street full of empty tree wells.
And they also had some of the property owners sign waivers. If they, like for instance, Shipper Bro wanted it saved in front of his house, and they said, okay, but you have to sign this liability waiver saying, you're not going to sue the city if it falls on you, which he probably still could. But anyway, it seems to help. There are quite a few trees on that street that did get saved.
Yeah, it's about half saved, which is great, because we were losing, I think in 10 years, we lost like 20 trees,
They
which is a
cut down a
lot.
lot of trees on
Yeah.
that street, yeah.
I think it's important to note that community members, if they have a tree in front of their house that is dying or sick, they can call the city and get help with that. We have bottle brush trees all up and down our street, which are great for hummingbirds, but they die inside sometimes.
Oh.
And so, like, my parents called and had the tree removed, but they put a guard in there, but they're gonna get a tree eventually. It's just sometimes getting the tree to be brought back and put in is the hard part.
Well, the other thing, and I didn't say this, is that there is this thing called guerrilla tree planting, which people have been written about for millennium, about them just going out and planting trees. I'm not recommending that, but it does happen.
And there's a hotline phone number.
Maintenance, yeah.
You can call and request a tree. You might not come immediately, but our city arbor department does want to plant trees. So just let them know.
So if a Montalvo resident wanted to have a tree planted in front of their parkway, in front of their house, then the city or the Alliance can make permission?
The city, well, if it's let me give you the phone number. I think I have it here. The city, it's a city tree well, so the city has to, okay.
In the parkway?
Yeah, if it's in a parkway. So what happens is, the city has a list of trees for each neighborhood that is allowed. They try and have, have a match. So what happens is, you might have a choice of 2 or 3 trees that you can request, and then the city will bring it and plant it. And what they do is they ask the resident to water it, so the city doesn't have to pay the water truck to come do it. So if you want a tree, you just kind of have to commit to watering it, which,
So just contact Urban Forestry?
yeah, I'm gonna read you the phone number, if that's okay. There's 2 numbers, if you want to write these down. 805-667-6519. And then that's sort of a tree hotline, like for if something's happening and you need to let somebody know. And the tree planting requests is 805-652-4541. And feel free, and if you don't get the city urban forestry people responding, contact your council member or us, and we'll see if we can help.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Ventura Tree Alliance. Doing a lot of good work all around town. We appreciate it. Okay, next up, we had set aside 15 minutes, but we're going to actually have 20 minutes for our next segment from 7:10 to 7:30. We have Councilmember Jim Duran, and he's going to tell us what's been going on around town and have a little time for question and answer. So Jim, come on up.
Thanks so much for having me, and Christy and Barbara, thank you so much for all that you're doing. It does make such a difference. And I am so thankful that I voted correctly that night. It would have been very awkward this evening if I had not. But going in, I was feeling that, and it was great to have you there because I think it showed the importance of that to the others that were in the room. So thank you for continuing to contend for the trees because it's so important. And on a side note, over the last couple of years, I've planted 12 trees in my yard. Yeah, and several of them are fruit trees, but yeah, it's awesome. So for those of you I have not met, my name is Jim Duran, and I'm your District 6 council member. And I wanted just to share a few things that are taking place or that have taken place. And one of the things that Christy had talked about earlier was the Montalvo Safe Route to Schools, the Public Works Transportation Team project, which we just had the ribbon cutting for. I know some of you were out there, and I wanted just to share that the project was funded by $1 million of Measure O funding and $1.38 million of Caltran grant money that came in. It was 2+ miles of continuous sidewalks, 1 mile of new bike lanes, 12 new curb ramps, reconstruction of 26 existing curb ramps, 27 new pedestrian and bike crossings. And then what I heard tonight was there was 41 trees that were added to that as well. The new landmark sign for the Montalvo neighborhood, and it couldn't have happened without the community council, without the leadership of Mark Abbey and everybody else. And actually, Mark and Cassie Lawhead did an amazing job making sure that project got completed and finished. And so if you want to hear more about that project, there's some videos that were made. You can go to the website and read all about the story on there. It's awesome. So thank you again for all your hard work with that. There's a few construction projects that are going on in District 6 in the Montalvo Community Council area. Bristol Road resurfacing, as you guys know, that's taking place. The Bristol Road from Johnson Drive to Ermine Avenue. As you know, the across the railroad tracks county has already done that, and so we're working on that. We're wrapping up the paving and the final repairs on those areas, the sidewalks and so on. The North Bank resurfacing is getting done. North Bank Drive from Ventura Boulevard to Johnson Drive. Also coming in the spring of 2024 is the Harmon Barranca bike path and installing flashing beacon signal crossings for that bike path. For real-time updates, so you can go to the Public Works Department on the city's website, which is the cityofventura.ca.gov//construction. Another thing that's coming up that is super important is a reminder about the third housing forum that's going to be hosted at Juana Maria Elementary School from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And that's going to be tomorrow night, Wednesday, November the 15th. It's a free event, and it's going to feature experts from 5 local agencies covering topics like affordable housing, tenant rights, paths to home ownership, and homelessness. I will be there tomorrow night, not presenting, but I'll be in the audience tomorrow night. If you want more information on that, you can go to the city website as well. Well, this is the 4th year that we're hosting the foul weather shelter. Now, we've had what they called, it was the winter warming shelters, what they used to call it in the past, where they would have it at the armory, and they would bring everybody in, and it would be for several nights. It would be open every night, and people could come in pretty much every night. Now the foul weather shelter is activated when it is, this year it is, if it's colder than 40 degrees, or if there's more than a half an inch of rain, it'll be activated. And I don't know how much you know about the shelter, but what happens is the city pays for 20 rooms at the local motel. And so this is really geared for people that are 65 years and older, because we get a lot of pushback sometimes, people saying, you know, we need more rooms, we need more rooms, we need more rooms. Well, here's what's happening throughout the year, just so you know. Throughout the year, there are shelters that are open. We have Rescue Mission that's open. We have Salvation Army that's open. We have the Art Shelter in Ventura that's a partnership with the county and the city of Ventura. We have different opportunities for people to get housing throughout the year. However, most people that live on the streets don't like congregate living, which means that they don't want to go into a warehouse type of place with bunk beds. But when the foul weather shelter opens up, because they know it's a private motel room, they're lining up to get in. And a lot of these people are younger than 65. I mean, the majority of the people are younger than 65. They're in good health, and they're wanting a room. And so we have a lot of people that are saying, well, we need more rooms. No, we need those people to actually apply for those rooms during the year so we can get them housed and eventually get them the services they need so they can get into a permanent type of housing or supportive housing. So we look at, so what happens is 2 days before we activate, the word goes out to the social workers in the area, County Ventura, and we get the word out to people that are 65 years of age and older to come, and they line up at the River Community Church. That's the church I pastor in Ventura. And we have the county that's there. We have the city of Ventura that's here. We have multiple volunteers that come. And people come right between 4 and 5 o'clock. They line up. We check them in. We get all their information. Then we get them. We transport them over to Motel 6 in a van. They get all the meals that they need for the time that they're going to be there. So if it's going to rain multiple days, they're going to get meals for multiple days. They don't get them all that night. We'll give them the meals for the first 24-hour period. Then the next day, me or somebody else will show up with another set of meals, and we'll give them those meals, and we check in on them and make sure everything's okay. Honestly, it's a great model. It's a great model because people that are sick, that are older, that are living on the street, it saves them. It's wonderful. I'm excited to share with you that our housing manager, Leona Rollins, had a conversation with Oxnard. This is great news. Oxnard has decided to do a foul weather shelter just like we're doing in Ventura. And they're going to activate the same times we are, the same temperatures. which is so great because now we have a partnership in Oxnard. They're going to open in Oxnard, so Oxnard people won't be coming to Ventura, and Ventura people won't be coming to Oxnard. We'll be able to work together. The reason I'm so excited about this, it's kind of like the beginning of the collaboration for the foul weather shelter, because the reality is, wouldn't it be awesome if all 10 cities activated at the same time, did the foul weather the same time? Everybody, it's easy to do. It's like a simple model. So what the city does is they pay for the rooms. Our church provides the space to host the individuals that come, get them rides to the motel. We partner with a bunch of different churches and different social service organizations in the city. And so what's going to happen within the next couple of days, I'm going to send an email out with all the partnering churches, Salvation Army, different groups like that, and we'll ask them to take a week because it's open from December 1st until March 31st. And we'll ask them to commit to a week of meals. We don't know when it's going to rain, but will you take this week? And then what happens is 48 hours in advance, we'll notify the churches and say, hey, you're up. We need 3 meals, we need 5 meals, we need 8 meals, whatever we need for those particular days. And then they come, they drop those off, and they provide them. I will tell you, some churches or some organizations will make sandwiches. They'll make a bunch of sandwiches for lunch. It'll be all homemade stuff. And then you got like Father Tom at the mission who gets it catered through Pirano's. Let me tell you, those people are so happy when they leave. One guy said, that's the best lasagna I ever had. So it's a great collaboration throughout. Last year, I want you to know that we actually activated 25 times for a total of 45 nights. And we were able to house 250 individuals, and we served more than 3,000 meals, distributing 150 warm packs. So those that don't qualify to get a room because of age or whatever, we'll give them a warm pack. And that warm pack included in that is a sleeping bag, a blanket, a tarp, beanie, gloves, hand warmers, socks, snacks, a bag to carry it. So they're set. They're not going to be cold if they don't get a room. And so I want you to know there's a way you can get, if you want to volunteer, you can go to the city website. Actually you can put in foul weather shelter and it'll take you to the webpage. You could donate. There's actually an Amazon link where we tell you all the things that we need for those that are needing the shelter or the warm packs. You could also sign up to do meals, to volunteer if you want to drive, if you want to help with the food, if you want to help greet people, if you want to be on security. We have a whole list of things that you can do. So that's our foul weather shelter. And then another thing I wanted to share with you is that's coming up is the Stuff a Sleigh. Talk about helping to bring holiday cheer to the downtown Ventura this December. In a groundbreaking holiday season collaboration with the Ventura Fire Department, we're proud to partner with the Ventura County Fire Department, Oxnard Fire Department, ABC7, Food Share of Ventura County, Downtown Ventura Partners, and the Ventura Chamber of Commerce to host the Ventura's first Stuff a Sleigh toy and food drive. And this initiative is geared towards supporting children and families in need. Will be hosted on Friday, December the 1st from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Main Street at Figueroa Plaza. And community members are invited to participate by bringing a new unwrapped book, toy, sporting equipment, or non-perishable food items to the event. And you could learn more about that Spark of Love on the city's website. So, on that note, I will go ahead and open it up to any questions that you may have. Yes?
I just wanted to mention one of the people who is watching online live right now said when a question is asked, could the person who's being asked the questions, repeat the question from the floor so that people online can hear the question.
So the comment that was being made right now is, would the presenter repeat the question? So I just want to let you know I'll be repeating the question. Yes, any questions that I can answer for you? Yes?
Anything big in the district coming up 2024?
Yeah, so, well, we're going to be having our goal setting meeting coming up in February, so we'll be able to talk about that. I mean, there's other plans and projects that I didn't want to really open up yet, but we're meeting on, and I have to tell you, the Montalvo Community Council has been amazing in collaborating with things to help with homelessness and just it. And I don't want to share all the information right now because it's in the kind of the initial stages, but there's plans. I will tell you that there's plans to help in these areas. There's also other things. You know, we've talked about what it would take to get people that are arrested and brought to the Ventura County Jail back to their cities. Because, you know, they end up here in District 6, right? I mean, we get new residents all the time in District 6 because of that. And, yeah, and so I want you to know, I know that when you were mayor, I know there was even conversations about this back then. I know when Mike Tracy was on city council, they were talking about this back then. And you know, I have to tell you, it's a difficult conversation. So we have to go a little bit, I would say, higher up. There's things that need to change on the state level. And so those are the conversations we're having right now. Because here, think about this for a second. You know, I've already had a bunch of conversations with county supervisors, with sheriff, assistant sheriff, people that could make these decisions. And it's really like, I don't know, Jim. And here's why. I just want everybody to play together well. You know, hey, it's your city. They're your people. Let's take them back. Well, Matt Levere he said to me, he goes, well, Jim, if you were the city manager of Camarillo and somebody got arrested who was a problem, would you really want them back? And as a city manager, would you say, oh yeah, bring them back? No, you're probably going to say, no, keep them away. And the other challenge is you have the sheriff that contracts with 5 of the 10 cities in our county. And what's their job is to make sure that their cities are safe. So why would you? So there's a kind of a little bit of a conflict there. And so the conversation, so we talked about, do we talk to judges and do we say, hey, you know, can you mandate them to, you know, you sentence them to the Ventura County Jail, but then they're released from the city of origin? Well, even that's kind of, I talked to a couple of judges, well, you know, we've never really done that. So you could just tell that people don't want to move in that area. So we have to have conversations on a higher level so there will be a bill or a law passed that actually mandates the county to take, or the cities to take them back. So that's what we're working on right now. I want to let you know, we're working. There's conversations taking place, and we want everybody to do their fair share. And we don't feel that Ventura, just because we're the county seat, has to carry the brunt of all of this. So, the other thing, yes.
I just was going to ask if you can give us any updates on staffing at the city.
Yeah. That's a great question. I will tell you. I'm going to tell you. Yes. Oh yes. The question is, how is it going with staffing at the city? And I can tell you that our city manager. I'll just tell you. I think we made a great hire. I think without a doubt we made a great hire. He listens, he understands the bigger picture, and he is working on that right now. I know that he's looking at hiring an assistant city manager. I know that he's looking at the staffing all the way around, and we want Ventura to be a great place to come and work, you know, and so that has a lot to do with the atmosphere at City Hall. We really want a can-do attitude. We want great customer service. And I know that those are the conversations we're having right now. And that's what we're hoping to get to. Because when you have a great atmosphere, when you have great attitudes, people loving to be where they're at, you attract people to come here. And I know that's our goal. And he's doing a good job looking at that. So it's happening. Probably not as quickly as we all want it to happen, but it is happening. The other thing that's taking place is, and I can't tell you the dates because if they're listening, I don't want them to know, but you know those illegal food vendors? Yes. Okay, something's happening. We're going to have a sting operation. Is that what you call it? We're actually going to be going out there very soon, and the equipment is going to be all confiscated if they're out there. Now, I want you to know, there's some people push back with me and they say, well, they're just trying to make a living. But yeah, but they don't have a business license. They're dirtying our sidewalks. They're violating all kinds of health codes. And could you imagine one of you somebody you know going there and eating and then getting sick, and how would you feel, right? So we've offered them an opportunity to get a business license and do it right, and they have refused. So we are gonna go out and enforce, and I get to go, and I'm excited. I asked the police chief if I get a badge and a holster and a gun, and he said no. I said, yes. Yeah, right. That's okay. The question was, do I get to eat the evidence? The answer is, I hope so. Any other questions? Yes.
I have two. The first one is, we noticed that Bristol Road West was not paved, but they painted new lines on that. Is that going to get paved?
Did you? Yeah, you're correct. They did.
Repeat the question.
The question was, what's the deal with Bristol Road? The west side has painted lines, but it doesn't. It wasn't on the schedule to get paved. It wasn't part of from Johnson Drive all the way out. However, I did speak with Mr. Nelson. He said it's not on the plan, but there's repair work that they're going to be doing on it. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, other than they're going to patch stuff up. Yeah, I agree with you. And I will tell you this. We have a hotline for that. And also, you could write in too. You could send emails. We read them and we forward them and we say, it's a mess. And I hate to say it, but doesn't the squeaky wheel get the oil? So I would just say squeak a little bit. Yes.
My second question is the Caltrans study for the Johnson Drive on and off ramp.
Yeah, thank you for asking. The question is the Caltrans study for Johnson Drive on-ramp and off-ramp. And I will tell you that we did get a letter back, and they did do the study, and there is, and I will send it to you. I will send you the letter because I just got it because I just asked for it. And so they did do a study. They are going to be putting stops or signals. There's doing something with the on and on ramp, but there's going to be more studies because they realize it's more than they thought it was going to be. But they are going to do something. So I'm so happy that we got that letter. But I'll forward the letter to you. Yes, for sure. Yes. Any other questions before? Okay. Well, thank you for having me. Yes. The question is the best way to get a hold of me, and I'll tell you, you could email me if you'd like, but you're welcome to call me or text me at 805-302-7711, 805-302-7711. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay, it's 7:30. We were expecting 3 different cannabis businesses that are going to be setting up their businesses within the next year or two to speak. We have actually 2 of those organizations tonight, so just to let the reps know in what order we're going to go. We're going to go Safeport first for 10 minutes, and then STIIZY, is that Steezy? Steezy, okay. So for Safeport, we have Ryan Underland, come on up. And for Steezy, in about 10 minutes, we'll have Stephanie and Frank Sanchez and Stephanie. I'll let Stephanie pronounce her last name. I don't want to say it incorrectly. So Ryan, are you here?
Yep.
Okay, come on up.
Thank you, sir. It's tough when you have to follow Jim. So my name is Ryan Underland. I'm the Director of Operations for Safeport. We are located currently in Port Hueneme and Oxnard. If you want to go to the next slide. We've been in Port Hueneme since 2018, operating there. We just opened our Oxnard location all of a month and a half ago. The next thing we will be working on is the Ventura location, which is the Salzers VHS building. Salzer's normal side, the record side, is not going anywhere. We partnered with Brandon and Nancy Salzer. It's going to be somewhat of a collaboration there. I was asked, what does construction look like? What's the timeline? That building needs a lot of work, as you know. These are our renderings, our idea of what we want to do. If you can go to the next slide again. Right now, we are unraveling what needs to be done. There's ADA issues inside the building. Exterior and interior needs a lot of work. The city has given us a quick timeline. We need to be operational by January 1st, 2025. So right now, we're finishing up with our architectural group how to make that happen successfully in such a short timeline. You can go to next slide. Security, big issue. Everybody's curious about that. We have 2 armed guards at all times of operation, which will be 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. After that, we will have an unarmed guard for 24 hours. So they'll be monitoring parking lot, make sure no one's residing around the building. We have a good relationship with all the police departments that we currently operate in. That's our plan here. I mean, I was gonna go say hi to Commander Kane. That'll be a process. I'll reach out to Jim Duran. It's all about dialogue in our business. People are a little fearful of cannabis, but we're just another business. We wanna do things correctly. Security is a big part of that. We have ex-Commander Randy Latimer runs our security company. He's from Oxnard PD, so he is aware of the different issues that this specific area runs into. You can go next slide. Clientele, who do we serve? You'd be surprised, kind of everybody. A majority of our demographic from analytics is young adult males, but that being said, Mondays we run a deal. The demographic changes to 40-year-olds and up because we run an edible deal. There's a lot of benefits in cannabis for health and wellness. We have sleep gummies that help promote sleep. So literally everybody, your neighbors, your friends, you never know. Next slide. Preventing sales to minors. That's been another hot topic for cannabis. First off, our location specifically is not near any sensitive use for minors. They're on Victoria. There's not a lot of foot traffic, specifically kids. After that, all our marketing is directly towards adults. We don't use the typical red, green, yellow cannabis colors, no cartoons. We go for a very upscale feel. And then after that, the security is a big thing. Everybody's identified before they enter the building. Also, you cannot see cannabis from the street. Even when you get into the lobby, there's still no cannabis. You have to get to a limited access sales floor. So there's 3 different safe roofs to not allow minors into the premise. After that, we're very big into community engagement, education, teaching the community what cannabis is, what it looks like. Yes, you can go to the next slide. Part of this is community benefits. During our second round of trying to get this licensed, interim city manager Don Penman asked us, how do you find these different groups to donate to? Because we're required with our license, we guaranteed 1% of our net sales, which right now in our Port Hueneme location, that's directly looking at $10,000 to $12,000 directly into local nonprofits. These sort of things help us find those. So like Ventura Tree Alliance, like that's a possibility going in the future. If your board accepts cannabis money, that's a conversation we have. We did a wildlife habitat improvement program with Ventura Land Trust. That there is one of our CEOs, Nancy Jarvis. So we had 40 people show up to cut mustard, do a lot of trail work. But yeah, I kind of flew through that. I could keep going, but you also probably have questions. Cool. Anybody? I could talk about this all day if you want. I can go real granular. Like I can show what our side looks like, how we get product, but it's not that exciting. We have to be open by January 1st, 2025, according to the city. So, operational. Correct? Correct. Yes, sir.
Do you sell your own product or you, other?
At this point, no. With our do we sell our own product for all of you online? At this point, no. Our Oxnard location is vertically integrated, so we will be manufacturing there and have distribution. That's not completed yet. Getting the retail open there was enough of a challenge for me. But there will be a point down the road, yes. We will create our own products and sell them at our stores. Also, if you have really tough questions, there's another group.
On this side, it says paid volunteer hours. Can you tell us about that?
Correct. So all of our staff, if they volunteer, will pay their hourly wages. That's offered to receptionists, bud tenders, all the way up to executive suite. It's a way to get our staff involved in the community as well, give them a little bit of pay when they're looking for hours. So, and that's also something we offer to all the nonprofits we work with. If you have events and you need more labor, that's somewhere we can show up and provide that setup breakdown. But yes. Another question. How many jobs do you anticipate to create? How many jobs do we anticipate to create? Our Port Hueneme store, we have 46 employees. Oxnard, right now, we have 27. Ventura will be our flagship store, so I'm assuming to the 40-50 range. It's very labor intensive to do this correctly, between receiving the product to getting it on the floor, marketing, all of that. And then our big thing, is all about one-on-one customer service. So we allow one customer to one bud tender or person that helps. So to get through people quickly, and to help them in our level of expertise, you need 4 or 5 people on the clock just to serve. So, yes.
So one of the reasons why I decided to support legalization of marijuana is because of the fentanyl problem with
Mm-hmm.
illegal drugs. So is that true that you guys would not ever have any kind of fentanyl in your products?
Correct. So that all gets back to this part. So I brought the testing here. Fentanyl. God. So the question is, can we guarantee that there will be no fentanyl in our products? 100% yes. Legal marijuana will never have fentanyl in there. The testing that this goes through is very rigorous. Everything that is on our shelves is all tested and gone through a very rigorous process just to show up. You can see the testing here, very intense. What we always tell people is that an Oreo was tested to the cannabis regulations and it failed. So it's something that there's not a worry there because we're not selling anything out the back door. We're not getting anything through the back door. Everything's tracked. And we're very open about that. And we take pride in that. So does that answer your question? Okay.
Any last question? All right, well, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Next up for cannabis business in District 6, we have Steezy, and it'll be Frank Sanchez and Stephanie. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Good afternoon. My name is Frank Sanchez. I'm the Director of Community Outreach for Steezy.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having us tonight. My name is Stephanie Uy. I'm our Vice President of Expansion and Public Affairs. And I'll let Matt introduce himself.
Hello. Excuse me. Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Muncy, and I am the local partner here in Ventura, California.
Well, we just wanted to make sure, or give Matt an opportunity to introduce himself so you guys could connect the local face with who we are. Matt is not just a random person to us. He did work for our company for a significant amount of time, and he's still in the industry. So it's always good to have someone local that we could connect to and just reach out to and say, hey, we need you to run down there and do this or that. So it's a great partnership for us to have.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I've been in Ventura since 2015. My wife and I live off of Kimball Telephone. We have 4 children. As I said, I've been in the industry since 2016. And I was with this group from 2019 to 2021. And their headquarters is located in LA. So I did the back and forth during the pandemic. I got an opportunity closer to home, still in the industry. I'm a financial controller for one of the farms in Carpinteria. So very much still involved in the industry and understand everything that it takes to operate. And so
cool.
Excited to represent these guys here locally. So
Thank
I'll
you.
let you guys
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Cool. With that said, we'll start our presentation. And we'll go straight to the next slide. So we want to start with just really describing who we are and really kind of give you guys a piece of why we have the clientele we do have. We're expecting our store to make about $35 million the first year. And that's a pretty high number. And why is that number so high? Well, we're the #1 taxpayer in the state of California. We have 46 cannabis operations throughout the state. We just opened their 31st store. We're going into a 32nd. This past year, we had about $540 million in revenue. Most of our stores average about $24 million. And as you know, we did partner with Matt. And beyond that, our CEO is a veteran.
Yeah, awesome. Just to add to that, our footprint, as you can see on the screen, shows that we are the most experienced cannabis company in the state of California. As Frank said, we have 32 open retail stores, 7 cultivation, 5 manufacturing, and 4 distribution facilities throughout the state. We've also processed over 10 million retail transactions. So we really are a leader when it comes to compliance, best practices, and it is our largest priority to make sure we have a very compliant and safe retail operation right here in Montalvo. And as Frank shared, our CEO, James Kim, he is a Army veteran. He served in the 101st Infantry. And so Steezy really came about after his service, after his tour in Iraq. He suffered PTSD and other physical and mental ailments like a lot of our veterans do. And so he really looked to plant medicine, cannabis, as a way to treat those issues instead of opioids. He saw many of his fellow veterans were becoming addicted to opioids. And of course, we're seeing in the news that opioid crisis continues to grow today, spilling over to fentanyl, as I've heard folks in the audience reference. And so, cannabis is really that plant medicine, that alternative. He spent 2 years overseas perfecting our flagship product, our Steezy Cannabis Vape. And so we started off as a cannabis vape brand, and since then we've grown to the largest brand and retailer throughout the state. Next slide, please.
I think this is going to cover a lot of the questions that we heard earlier. We are planning to have about 45 jobs opening with this store. The wages will be ranging between $17.25 and $24.50. Manager salary is between $70,000 and $80,000 starting. And beyond that, our company as a whole has about 2,300 employees throughout the state. We do cover 70% of medical, dental, and vision insurance. And a couple of things that we're really excited and proud about is that we do have a pension for our employees, which I think we're probably one of the few, if not the only ones that have that. And beyond that, we do offer 24 hours of volunteer PTO. So any of our employees within the company could take that to any of the approved volunteer events. And lastly, 80 hours of vacation time. That's for our full-time staff.
And that is because we are proud to be unionized with the United Commercial Workers. And so all of our retail stores are unionized to ensure that our retail employees are able to live and work in the communities that they live in. So we're proud of that.
Next slide. So this is 1860 South Victoria. This is the location that we've gotten. As you could see, the outside of the building has Spanish arches, and it's a very beautiful building. This is a quick rendering of what the outside would look like. From the outside in, you really wouldn't be able to see what's going on in there, and that's something that we want to keep intentionally. We have considered putting up a black fence, to really just cover the whole building. That's an option that we have, but we're really not trying to do that. I think that sometimes actually just asks more questions and brings more attention to the building than it should. But what we are planning to do is fence our parking lot and the back area of where the customers would be entering, so that would really be covered and invisible to the public eye. So, but from the front on Victoria out, this is what you would be seeing. Next slide.
Awesome. So this is an overview of our location. As you can see, we will have 21 dedicated parking spots. What we see from our experience is really lack of parking is the main cause of nuisance and complaints when it comes to cannabis retail locations. So when choosing a location, we're very, very strategic. We wanted to make sure we had our own parking lot, being able to control the flow, who enters and exits, our own property. And so we think that having 21 dedicated parking spots is going to be very key to our success. We do expect around 440 customers per day, and we have 13 point of sale systems to make sure we are able to serve our customers in a very timely manner.
Next slide. So the security.
Can you go back, please? Oh, one after that. Uh-huh. Absolutely. We will have 2 security guards during operational hours, at least one overnight. And so we'll have one right in front of our main entrance that's in the parking lot, and also one on 8th Street, and that's where the traffic is going to come in from. So we will be able to direct the flow of traffic, and also be able to keep a close eye on who's entering the premises. And our SOPs are to card or ask for the ID of anyone who may look underage. So we ensure that no one is able to come onto the property who is under the age of 21. This slide. Thank you.
Cool. So going back with security, when we discovered this building, unfortunately, it was very decrepit and in a very bad state. These are a couple of pictures that we were able to recover from our phones. Unfortunately, we didn't take as many as we would have liked, but there's really nothing to remember there. But as you could see, there was a lot of graffiti that was throughout the building. There was homelessness. There was really a dump, and it was a pain to see, especially with such a beautiful building and a beautiful area. So what we did about probably 3 years ago now is we hired a private security guard to stay on that property. So for the last 3 years, there's been a private security guard 24 hours in that parking lot, making sure that there's nothing dumped. There was no one, coming on the property that shouldn't be there. And one of the things that we were actually really proud to do the last 3 years was work with the local PD to use our facility as a local canine training ground for them to go in and, work their dogs. So that's something we're really proud of. Beyond that, you'll notice that we're going to be right smack down in the middle of a very commercial area. So going back to what we were talking about earlier with the amount of homelessness and just vagrants, we're going to be seeing a good amount of that. But we're hoping that our security is actually going to bring more vigilance to the neighborhood and actually improve that.
We've heard from our direct neighbors that they are very happy to see transients no longer at the property. Vandalism completely has gone away, and we've been able to bring a fresh coat of paint and really improve the public safety. So we will only continue that. In this slide, it just goes over our hours of operation every day from 9 a.m. to 8:45 p.m. This mirrors our Oxnard location hours. Something unique to us, we have patrol cars on call 24/7 for our downtown location. During the civil unrest, we were the only retail store not to be vandalized or broken into, because we're able to call our on-call dispatch fleet, and they were able to be there within 10 minutes and to protect the property and make sure everyone was safe. So we have that for this location as well. Again, we have security every single day of the year, 24/7. We have 18 panic buttons and 35 cameras.
Next slide, please. One of the things that we're really proud at CZ is to have a hands-free policy. This is an example of one of our stores. When you walk in, you are helped directly by a bud tender with a one-on-one experience, and nothing is actually handed over until after the sales completed. So really, there's nothing that's going to be walking out unless someone reaches over something crazy. But it's something that's worked so far, and we're really proud of our results for the last 3 years. Next slide, please. Product testing. This kind of goes back to the fentanyl question, but this is what one of our labels looks like. Everything goes through a testing lab in compliance with the DCC. The DCC has the rules laid out for all the labs, and they're the ones that make sure that there's no contaminants and that the labels are accurate. So we're very, very happy to comply with that. And going back to just cannabis testing, it's pretty incredible how good it is. If today you bought some bad lettuce at your grocery store, if you didn't watch the news tomorrow night, you would never know that you have a bad batch. With us, if you buy a bad batch, we know exactly where, when, what time, and we'll be able to find you and tell you to get rid of that. So the tracking behind it is pretty amazing.
It's very rare.
Yeah, next slide, please.
Awesome. Youth prevention. And so this is something that we're really proud as a most experienced operator. We've actually taken the liberty to create a youth prevention program based on Stanford University research. And so this is something that we offer to all nonprofits, all community groups in every jurisdiction we enter. We have 2 of our staff who are able to train nonprofit staff, other staff who want to learn and administer this youth prevention program. Again, it's based on Stanford University research, 10 modules, and it's something that you can really focuses on the dangers of underage consumption, how to identify cannabis in a social setting, and again, if we're happy to bring that to Ventura.
And
next slide.
We have time for a couple of questions.
Cool.
Sure, yeah. This is our last slide. Basically, we've selected these 4 community organizations. Knuckleheads Boxing Gym, we sponsor a youth boxing program for underserved communities. We're partnered with United Way, Turning Point, and Food Share. And so we've pledged varying amounts to those nonprofits to receive some of our community benefits. We've pledged 1.5% of our gross receipts. So that's approximately $300,000 per year. Directly to the city of Ventura, in addition to our local nonprofits. Any questions? Oh yeah, the timeline. If you can go back to that. No worries. Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, timeline. Luckily for us, it's pretty basic. We expect to have a construction commencing May of 2024. By then, we expect to have all our building permits in line. God permitting. We're expecting to be done by August 2024. Luckily, our sales floors are pretty wide and open, so it shouldn't be taking too long. And if all goes as planned, we should hopefully open by September 2024. Any other questions? Cool. Well, thank you for having us.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to insert, we had intended to have 5 minutes for Montalvo Community Council Year-End Review Annual Report, so I'll go ahead and read that to you. So Montalvo District 6 Community Council, just some thoughts. We shared city and community news on our website, montavocc.wordpress.com. That's montavocc.wordpress.com. Let's see. Including Be a Santa for a Senior, a community cleanup and recycling, household hazardous waste event, Safe and Clean Initiative, Ventura Tree Alliance, General Plan Advisory Committee or GPAC surveys, Representative Carvajal's Town Hall from the federal level, from the House of Representatives, Housing Forum at the Montalvo Academy for the Arts School, Coffee with a Cop, and other Ventura PD events. So go to our website and we post updates as we go through the year. as well as posting when we're having community meetings and so forth. I should mention that our board is very busy. It's been a very busy year for our board. We have 11 monthly meetings as a board. So we recently, this last year, increased our boards from 5 members to 7. And so we do a lot of things behind the scenes. And then we have the 4 public meetings quarterly, second month of the quarter. So February, May, August, and then November. So, and our board goes dark in December. In January, the board updated our bylaws to confirm our boundaries to include the new District 6. So we expanded from the border that we had before. We added 2 more members at large positions and changed our meeting schedule to quarterly public meetings in February, May, August, November. And the board recommended that, but we can't just change the bylaws as a board. We have to get the community to ratify that. And so we approved that through a general public meeting. In February, we held a special election meeting to vote to add David Olivas and Liz Montoya for member-at-large positions. In March, we created an executive summary and made recommendations on the Johnson Drive corridor to the GPAC, or General Plan Advisory Committee. That's the committee that's spending 3 years trying to figure out what is the plan for Ventura over the next 25 years. Where is there going to be built more buildings, especially housing? Where in the city? How big? How tall? How dense? We've had a number of meetings behind the scenes on that. So we created an executive summary and made recommendations on the Johnson Drive corridor to GPAC as well as to the City Council. We spoke several times at City Council, at GPAC. Interim Community Development Director, launched our own land use survey, surveyed 75 of our own members, residences, to get the GPAC to inform what it was that you wanted us to advocate on your behalf. So we did that. In April, we attended a GPAC meeting to share our Johnson Drive recommendations. In August, we had an August public meeting that we hosted Supervisor Matt Levere. In September, I have some very sad news. We were very sad to learn of the news of the passing of David Olivas, our member-at-large. In the short time he was with us, he helped us out quite a bit. He had been a city attorney down south, and he helped us quite a bit. He brought so much to our board with his legal expertise and strong wit. And he helped a couple of council members, too. I won't mention them, but he worked behind the scenes as well. Very great gentleman, and we're sorry to see him pass. In October, we successfully impacted the decision on the Johnson Drive corridor. We're able to block 6-story designations in the area along Johnson Drive, save the Montalvo Auto Services Group from being rezoned for housing. And as was mentioned earlier, in November, we had the ribbon cutting just last week on the Safe Routes to School and new Montalvo Monument sign. Are there any questions about what we were able to accomplish this last year? Do you have any questions of the board? John?
Take a guess, how many hours of dedication an average board member would do for GPAC this last year?
We had so much time spent, 20, 40. I mean, there was a lot of behind-the-scenes work to do that. All right, let me see. It must be 8 o'clock, right? Yes, Cassie. Cassie will be running our board election. If you came in earlier, and she'll mention that she probably already gave you a ballot, she'll explain what the process is, the procedures are. She'll go over who the board recommended, and then she'll go over the process to opening it up to the floor for nominations if anyone so desires.
Can I excuse people who are not part of the Montalvo Community Council, since it's our final agenda item?
Yeah.
Yeah. All those of you who have joined us tonight, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you being here. If you are not a member of the Montalvo Community Council, you may go and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much. Okay, so the Montalvo Community Council, according to our bylaws, we serve as the nominating committee. And every year, about half of the board positions come up for re-election. And each board position is 2 years of service. So this year, up for election is the chair position, the treasurer position, and one member at large position. So we will be going through each of those positions tonight. So we as a board have nominated people, and then we will also open the floor if anybody wants to make a nomination. You can nominate yourself, you can nominate another person, but they must be in attendance and they must be willing to serve. We will not put people on the board against their will. So the first position is the Montalvo chair. The chair shall preside at all meetings of the executive board and general council. The chair is the official spokesperson and representative of the council. And this year, your Montalvo Community Council board has recommended Lisa Gassaway for the chair position for the next 2 years. I'm now going to open the floor to nominations. Would anybody like to make a nomination for a chair position? Okay. Do I have a motion to close nominations? A motion from John and a second here. We will all in favor of closing nominations for the chair position, say aye. Robert's Rules of Order here, people. We're going to do this very officially, okay? Okay, so the nominations are closed. Since we... all those opposed say nay. Thank you very much. Point of order. Since the chair position is unopposed, we will vote vocally. All in favor of Lisa Gassaway for the new chair of the Montalvo Community Council, say aye. All opposed say nay. Congratulations, Lisa Gassaway, our new chair. We're so pleased to have you. I'm probably not supposed to show emotion about it. Next position up is the treasurer. The treasurer will have access to and custody of all funds of the council and accept and expend funds as directed by a majority vote of the executive board or general council at any official meeting. The treasurer shall also present a quarterly treasurer's report at all general and board meetings, prepare a year-end fiscal statement, prepare and file all tax forms, and make the books available for audit as directed by the board. The treasurer will set up and maintain a bank account to retain any funds. This year, the board is recommending Betsy Holt for the treasurer position. I will now open the floor to nominations. Oh, and now we have another nomination. Betsy has been nominated twice. Okay. Do I hear a motion to close nominations? Close nominations and a second. All in favor of closing nominations, say aye. All opposed, to say nay. Okay, now we will make our official vote. Because Betsy is running unopposed, we will vote with aye and nay. All in favor of Betsy Holt for the treasurer, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Nomination passes. Congratulations to Betsy Holt. And our final position tonight is a member-at-large position. We have 3 member-at-large positions on our board currently, and they have a very long description. Their duties vary as needed. Okay, so this year, the Montalvo Community Council is recommending Mark Abbey for this member-at-large position. I would like to now open the floor to nominations. Would anybody like to recommend another person in this position? Can I get a motion to close nominations? And a second. Thank you very much. Since Mark Abbey is running unopposed, we will now vote. All in favor of Mark Abbey as a member at large, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Congratulations, Mark Abbey. You have been nominated to the member at large. Okay, so for anybody watching at home, if you want to join in on this fun and all the Robert's Rules of Orders that we do here on the Montalvo Community Council, visit us, montalvocc.wordpress.com. Send us an email. We'd love to have more people involved.
Thank you, Cassie. Yeah, thank you. Well, this is the last meeting of this year. Our board will go dark, and for the rest of this year, I heard at the most recent city council meeting that city council, we've been having our public meetings on Tuesday nights, and we've been having our board meetings on Tuesday nights. City council this past year in 2023 is meeting Monday nights, but I understand that city council will be moving to Tuesday nights. So our board meetings are these first will have been first Tuesday. We'll need to decide in early January if we're moving to Monday or some other night, and make the same decision for our community meetings. Community meetings are the second month of the quarter, so first quarter would be February, second quarter May, third quarter August, fourth quarter November. And so I'll just open it up. If you have any questions or suggestions for our board looking into the new year, so our next community meeting will be in February, second week of the month. Any questions or suggestions? Yes.
I just want to make sure we didn't miss our treasurer's report.
Yes, that's right. We have a treasurer's report. Betsy, come on up. Come on up.
Currently, we have a balance of $480, and we hope in the future to get some fundraising done so that we can increase our funds.
Okay, so, all right, well, we're very thankful that you came tonight. Thank you for watching online, and have a good evening.